What's up, world? Here we are, eCussionist, back in the studio again. This is lesson number 8 of the first trimester in 2025. I can't believe that we're already more than halfway through the trimester, but thank you so much for being here with me. My name is Matt Vorsmer, aka eCussionist, reporting live from the studio here in Durham, North Carolina, streaming everywhere on the internet, the World Wide Web, right here on NGO Radio Terra's very own YouTube channel, where we bring you free lessons for all levels and all ages every single week. I'm here on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock to 4:30, bringing you everything I know and everything I've amassed over my many years in the game as a drummer and a percussionist. So thank you so much for being with us, and I can't wait to get into today's lesson. So today's lesson is going to be about Afro-Cuban, Afro-Caribbean, and Latin rhythms in general. So we're going to get right into it, and I'm going to just warm up, give you guys a little something on the top of it. So we have a couple of different locations on the map to visit today. That right there is an African rhythm that is known by many names. Some people call it bembe. Some people call it agabe. Let me make sure. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, agabe. So, this is a rhythm that we can use to intersperse, or I should say intertwine with the American rhythm, the shuffle, because it involves the triplets. And this is a really good way of being able to blend with other cultures when you can find the rhythms that match but aren't exactly the same. So, for instance, So you see how it fits together, right? as is the case with all of the African rhythms or a lot of the Black American music rhythms that we have in the culture, is that they all fit together like Legos. Everything can be adapted. The Brazilian stuff connects with the Haitian stuff. The Haitian stuff connects with the Cuban stuff. The Cuban stuff connects with the Jamaican stuff. So we want to be aware of everybody's contribution to the global rhythmic palette, and then we can really play with mostly anybody, right? Depending on how much we've been able to conceive. So, Bembe, Agabe, 12/8 blues shuffle. That's a really, really good one. We mentioned Haiti. Let's take it over to Haiti. Now, there's a lot of different ways we can interpret this very simple groove, and some could interpret this as being more Jamaican, or if you don't really have the rhythmic education, then this might sound like dance hall to you. Right? But it's not. Although there is a rhythm in there that everybody shares, which is this. Right? So if we connect rhythms through that, if we connect different rhythms through that one particular rhythm, then we can have a cross-cultural conversation. Focusing back on the Haitian side of things, what makes this particular way I'm playing it different than, say, a French Caribbean drummer or a Parisian drummer who deals with the same musical language but comes from a different culture would be like this. So in Haiti, there's this Kale part, which sounds like this. 5 beats to it. And the accents line up with this rhythm that I showed you. The kata. And then we add the kick to it. Right? But in France, they might approach it like this. It's without the ghost notes on the right hand. Right? That's the French way, the Haitian way. French way, Haitian way. So let's add some other rhythms into it. There's a floor tom player and a cowbell player. They call them cloche and gong, right? The floor tom is the gong, the cowbell is the cloche. And those rhythms, and I don't have a cowbell today, or nor do I have the proper cymbal that this right hand part is played on, but that's all right. You'll get the idea. So the gong part is on the and of 4, and the and of 2 and the and of 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. And then kata. Right? The cloche part is this. Right? Now, the Zouk version of it, or the French version of it, also has all those elements of it. The main factor is just that the right hand part, doesn't have the Haitian ghost notes. right? So the Zouk way, the Haitian way. And of course, there's nuance to this. Of course, Haitian drummers sometimes play this version of it on the verse and then go to play this version on the verse. And then go to this on the hook. So that's nuance, that's musicality. And in music, there's nothing right or wrong per se, as long as you're within the frame of, as long as you're within the context that everybody else is in, there isn't something wrong. But you do want to play the right, you do want to play the best rhythms for the situation. Let's add in one more part, which is what the conga player would play in this particular rhythm, this Haitian compas style or this French zouk style, which is all right. So if I add that on top of all this, we start to get then there's one more variation, and we're going to go over to the islands of Africa for this one, and this is a Kizomba vibe. This comes from Cabo Verde. It's very popular in Portugal, and it's somewhat like the French zouk version of this. Well, it has a lot of properties of the Haitian stuff and the French zouk stuff, but this only uses 2 out of the 3 beats on this pattern. So where we had the rhythm that everybody identifies with, which is this, right? They only use this. And I do want to add that a lot of these rhythms are tempo specific. You start talking different genres when you take these rhythms into different tempos. So this is a Kizomba vibe. So it usually is played at 90 BPM. Let's see where that is at. Right? So that's also a really nice way of interpreting this. And again, there is preferred rhythms. Each one of these cultures need their rhythms to be respected. So we do want to make sure that we pay homage to those rhythms and try and play them as close to the real thing as possible. But you can dip in and out of the Kizomba vibe, which I just played, or the Zouk vibe, or the Haitian compas style, right? So again, all of this is here together in one unique package, and it's all African. It all comes from Africa, and it was moved all around the world through the transatlantic slave trade and through the migration of peoples. And these rhythms tell true stories about real cultures. Check it out. It's really, really interesting, and it's really, really danceable, and it's amazing music. So shout out to all of you out there. What else? Where am I at time-wise? I always got to watch my time here because I get carried away talking and playing, and all of a sudden it's 4:30. So let me keep it moving. Let's move over to Jamaica. There's a couple ways that I've been hipped to playing dancehall. This came down to me from Sean Paul's keyboard player, Dan Policar. Shout out, Dan. Shout out, Sean Paul. I'm also going to demonstrate Leroy Horsemouth's version of dancehall. But anyways, here's dancehall number 1. Here's dancehall number 2. Very, very distinct rhythms because the first version has 2 hits on the kick and 1 in the snare, and the second version has 2 hits on the snare and 1 on the kick. When things get really exciting within dancehall, sometimes it goes like this, right? We could be doing this first. So dancehall vibes. It gets into some Dominican vibes and some like reggaeton vibes once we start adding the 4 on the floor with this Jamaican dancehall pattern. So if I go, here we go. 4 on the floor, here we go. Dancehall. And so on and so forth. If we speed that up, sounds like this. Let's do it a little faster. And while we're at this tempo, let's take it back to Haiti and play Rabodai. This is sort of like Haitian Afro or Haitian Afro beats, but sped up. And so it's usually between like 120 and 130. So 2, 3, And it's like this. Okay. I don't know what happened with my muffle rings, but they wanted to start swimming on that one. But this is comprised of what would be played on the congas and on the snare. So the snare part is like 3/2 clave. And the tambu part is really, really awesome. That groove is so much fun to play, and it gets people dancing every single time. So that's called Rabodai. That's a Haitian rhythm. That's club music right there. All right, let's keep moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Cuba. Okay. So let's play around with a couple rhythms that I think that you can use and apply to a lot of different things. So Wawanko. Now, emphasizing the kick drum part, I want to say that there's a couple different ways we can approach that. That's tumbao, and then we can put in the bomba. Also, keep in mind that the very first rhythm that I showed you is also considered Afro-Cuban. And it should be noted that the preferred term for the Cuban stuff is Afro-Cuban. Latin is a term that I find a lot of Cuban musicians and musicians in general have a problem with because of its cultural context and insinuations. So I call it Afro-Cuban music, not Afro-Latin, although I referenced that at the very beginning of the lesson because a lot of people know that term. But ultimately, the bomba, bembe, or agabe, which is the Brazilian term for that same rhythm, and what was the other term that I used? wawanko can all be found in this rhythm. While we're here, this is called Ijesha. So this is a Brazilian rhythm called Ijesha. This way you can see the ride cymbal a little bit. So let me just explain something about this groove, is that I don't have cowbells, but this ride pattern would be played on 2 different toned cowbells. So as a drum set player, we're always trying to figure out different ways of adapting these multi-percussion rhythms to the drum set. If I were playing with 2 or 3 other percussionists, this rhythm would probably be covered by another percussionist. And then the drum set player would probably play something closer to this so that you don't get in other people's way. Right? So we got to figure out different ways that we can still keep the rhythm authentic and still link with the other drummers and other musicians while not doubling up on certain parts. So that's Ijesha, I-J-E-X-A, Ijesha. Let's go and spend a little time on just this classic samba rhythm. Okay, samba hegi. Here we go. And it is this. I want to note that this rhythm is the same rhythm found in bossa nova, right? Except it's here on the snare. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for hanging with me today. We covered a bunch of rhythms. Did my best to show you my interpretation of them. We talked about bomba, bembe. We talked about ijesha. We talked about samba hegi. We talked about Haitian compa. We talked about zouk. We talked about kizomba. We talked about rabodai. We talked about, what else did we talk about? We talked about bomba, and we talked about, what else did we talk about? Wawanko. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is ecussionist@gmail.com. That's ECUSSIONIST, ecussionist@gmail.com. This has been lesson number 8, Afro-Cuban, Afro-Latin, and African rhythms, Caribbean rhythms. This is the first trimester in 2025, and we'll see you next week at 4 o'clock right here on NGO Radio Terra's YouTube channel. My name is Matt Vorsmer, a.k.a. Ecussionist, signing off. Appreciate y'all.